What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? This market is something else. Wouldn't you know it, guys? We've now made our way all the way to 369 from when we started kind of the week already at what, 346 low? And I mean, if you include the Thursday before that, we were at a low of 342. We've now made essentially a 7% move back up and now starting to run into resistance. This is why the title above, will the markets pull back for the close? I think we're seeing that already. Let's take a look here. All right, let's go to the Qs. Let's take a look at the SPY. Let's take a look at different markets right now. What are you guys looking at? What stocks will you be looking at? I was looking for the stocks to get up towards this resistance on the daily on the Qs. Same thing for the SPY. We talked about the kind of the 436 level, 437 level. We got really close to that. You guys can see it here. We actually kind of turned around right after that 436 break. Got up there towards what, 436.29, and now are starting to fall fast. So this is when I think they're going to go ahead and give us a nice hit towards the close. And the big thing here is, who wants to be long over the weekend after all these stocks have made this extended move higher? I don't think there's many names that will want to be long throughout the weekend. And you could also see the TLT maybe take a little bit of a pullback here towards the close. And that's what's giving me the idea that, yeah, we are pulling back significantly and quickly here on the TLT. So that just goes to tell me that, yeah, we could have this little sell-off here. You guys see the SPY selling off. I will let you know, guys, I tried to take some of these trades and some went well, some went bad for me. Took a big hit there on AMD as this continued to climb. But Roku was one of the best trades that I did earlier today. And I'm all out of this trade now, so I'll talk about it. I was looking for Roku to come right back down. Why? Because I just feel it's extended, right? Look at the move in what, 3 days? This made a 50% move up. Kind of extended in my eyes, right? Well, there it goes. It's starting to take the hit. We'll see what happens. If they do continue to hit this throughout the weekend and we come back on Monday on a down market, but hey, definitely starting to see some down action come in here and some topping in the market, especially after this rip, right? I mean, it's going to be hard to keep this momentum going, but also let's get to the stocks out there, right? Technology leading the moves to the upside, and we can talk about what names in there kind of led the move today. And Fortinet bouncing back after really getting hit on their earnings. This was definitely a really good bounce back, up about 12%. Started the day around 44, now all the way up there to 50s. So if you guys were able to catch that one, not bad there. All right, Moderna has been continuing going from getting destroyed on their earnings. This is just to show you how I don't know how to say it. How extreme this run really was, because their report was really bad, atrocious, I'll even say. And then this stock is right back to where it was, when it actually before it reported on Wednesday. So this is honestly just to show us that, yeah, this could continue to lead. And sometimes, even though the earnings could be horrible, the fundamentals could be pointing to the downside. Here you guys see it clearly still getting the lift. Hey, it doesn't matter, man. Mystery Man 438.53 on the SPY will be 3-month gap fill. Monthly gap fill on the SPY. Let me take a look at that. What are you seeing? I mean, I don't see a gap there. I don't know if you see a gap, but maybe on the daily chart there's a gap. On the monthlies, I have no gaps. But we'll see what happens there if it starts to make its move back. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other stocks that we're moving today. Catalent getting a nice little lift above the 130s, 140s lately, but now has been back down to 35. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Daily chart bouncing back after creating a bottom around 32. Para continuing its action from the earnings, and this one was a real earnings kind of rip to the upside. Pulled back with that Apple report, and that gave you an opportunity to get it somewhere near 1250s. Now all the way back there to the 1376, 10% higher. Good move there. Skyworks also bouncing back, and a lot of the names that were hit yesterday, got the bounce back. Expedia with another leg up. And this one was an interesting one as Booking also kind of followed it along. And this just goes to show us even stocks that are taking major hits down are being able to bounce back. It's a positive environment right now, but it could clearly start to change. Mystery Man, it's on the 2-hour chart. I'll take a look at that. Gerard, it was an awesome week for you. Hey, good to hear it. I mean, hey, it was a bullish tune, probably better for the Bulls than it was for the Bears. But hey, there's always two sides of the coin, right? And DraftKings continuing towards 33, 30, almost 34. We hit 34 today, 34.21. And man, look at the upside move in DraftKings. I have a friend that actually got DraftKings closer towards 12 and 13. And now he's just playing with the free money and letting this run. Doesn't look bad at all. How did Penn do? Did it do a day two move? Not bad. Got back up there towards 23s. Of course, Penn's going to be an interesting watch as we get closer to November 15 when you get that ESPN bets to come out. We'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at some other spaces. Of course, we can go towards more technology names. I did see some software application names up higher. We can take a look at some of those. Look at CXAI, get a little bit of a lift. Let's go to some of the higher cap names here. CRM down a little bit on the day. SAP getting a little bit of a pushback. I know Team had gotten hit earlier. Look at Shop continuing to the upside. This is one that I definitely should have taken a bet going into, especially their earnings after Amazon pretty much killed it. Amazon didn't do bad on their earnings. This was probably one of the moves that definitely looking back, hindsight 2020, of course, but this would have been definitely a great one to play this week. Up 25% Shop, and it's a real company, right? We're not talking a smaller company. And I think in the long run, this is definitely an opportunity. I've talked about this stock at 40 multiple times, missed out on it. And I think in the long run, this can be a company that I might want more than even Amazon. So that's something to think about, right? We'll see what else is going on. All right, let's keep going. What else is making moves on the day? Snow coming back, Team coming back. It just shows to show you how strong the market really is right now. And there's only two sectors in the red today. That's energy, as oil came right back down as it was looking like it wanted to start making a move back up above 85s, then made a move towards 81. Let's take a look if it broke 80 today. That's my biggest thing that I'm watching for on WTI. And where do we go? We go to 80.10. That's just toying with people, man. The high today, 83.60. Of course, we're still talking about a 52-week range of 95.03 and 63.57 on the downside. We'll see what happens here if it breaks the 80, but definitely bounce right off of that. Now back into the 81. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going out there, team. Hope we get a nice continuation next week. I mean, it could continue, I think, especially even for like 2 weeks, right? Like, because we're not going to get anything major right now. I think you got to kind of keep an eye out. I think the next 2 weeks can still be positive. As we go towards the end of the month and we get towards NVIDIA's report, that's when I'm going to be a little bit concerned. But right now, yeah, we could make a run. What's up with the SPY? The SPY starting to make a little bit of an up move here. Is that what you're noticing? Well, we'll see if it kind of can come back towards the 436. That would be a good level to watch it recover here. We'll see if it keeps to sell off. Apple still staying in the green there and coming all the way back almost to yesterday's close. That just goes to show you the report was straight trash, but that doesn't matter. They're still buying up stocks, right? This is when it's really hard to, if you look at the media and you look at what was said in that report, it's kind of hard to go in and buy Apple. But as you guys can see, it came right back up and it's continuing to move higher. We'll see if eventually it takes the lows. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going in the markets there. Jay, much too easy to trim up in the markets than down in the markets. Don't necessarily understand that, but maybe I just said it wrong. It could just be me. Let's take a look there. Microsoft up there towards 354. We'll see if this keeps continuing. Microsoft was one that I talked about when we came down off of their earnings in July. Would Microsoft be the one that led the rally back? And I think that you're definitely seeing that. This is the sign, right? I mean, look at that break today. And what has it been? It's been essentially now what? 7 straight green days there for Microsoft and pushing towards the 354. We'll see if this can get all the way up back towards that high where it was at 366.78. And that just goes to show you guys, we're pushing right back towards those highs. That's going to help a stock like NVIDIA. Now, the only question is, can NVIDIA get back towards like 480s, 490s, and maybe even 500 before the report? That's something to take a look at. I think that eventually we come back down to this 400, but I could be wrong, right? This could just go ahead and continue to 500. I know money managers and a lot of high money where they're positioned, they're probably thinking upside NVIDIA. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? Let's find out. All right. Meta also going back up through the 315s. This was just down at 290s, back up towards those levels. Something to keep an eye out for. All right. If I take a look around, AVGO's coming back, ASML, Adobe. Let's take a look at SMCI. That's another one that started to make a move. Still hasn't really made the move back up, though. Supermicro Computers, I thought it would get a little bit more lift. Not much there. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other stocks in the market. And if you guys have anything you want to check out, throw it up in the chat. Gambling stocks, of course, getting the lift. We talked about DraftKings. We talked about certain names in there. Church Downs even getting a little bit of a push there. So we'll see if these names can continue. Department stores getting a little bit of a lift. This is where I will say it right now, guys. I missed a hell of a swing trade, and I was talking about it right here so that you guys out there that are listening to me right now, you guys had this opportunity, of course, as we talked about retail. I thought that we would get some seasonality lift, and look at the XRT. Now it's up there to 62.15s. We just talked about this on Wednesday. Now it's already there. And some of these stocks really kind of leading the higher action move. Carvana getting a nice little push today. Boot getting a little push. Signet Jewelers, AAP, Advanced Auto Parts. Of course, as people see these auto loans, they're probably going to need some auto parts as to keep their cars strong. Warby Parker getting higher. Bath and Body Works. Also, one that I missed earlier in the week that I really wanted to catch was Victoria's Secret, this going higher. And then Chewy was another one that I was talking about. And I was just talking about this one yesterday. And look at the move there. Now starting to kind of squeeze up there to the 21.15s. And this one loves to get that momentum. And it was extremely oversold over here in the 25th and the 2nd of October, starting to come off of that RSI bottoming, went to even an RSI of 3.69, guys. Of course, RSI can't go below that 0, right? So that's as extreme as it gets. That's when I want to start taking some kind of bets, right? Things like that can actually help you, and you can start taking some bets and looking for the swing. You just got to be kind of maybe positioning in with a little bit there and then looking for the swing and the RSI to start increasing and not going back to that level. That's exactly what happened here, where the price was coming down, but was the RSI coming down? No, it was actually holding it. That's a good sign that when you're declining and the RSI is able to hold that support, that you can make that up move. And there you have it. Not a bad one there. All right, Derek from T3 called that Chewy trade, and definitely we got to give a shout out to that to Derek from T3, Marty. He definitely did call that Chewy trade, and he brought it on Tuesday on PreMarket Prep. So shout out to my man Derek, and glad that you caught that, Marty, because it's always great to kind of give them credit, right? When we do the right things, when we kind of tell you guys exactly what we're seeing, so that you guys could maybe potentially get that play. Chewy, good move there. I also saw with some airlines kind of bottoming out today, and look at that, guys. Look at American, not a bad move there to 12s and continuing to move after the open. DAL also big move up there to 33.50s. Did we see at least a short time bottom on these airlines? We could have seen it. How are the cruise lines doing? Nice little push higher there. RCL, NCLH. All right, not looking too bad, even in the leisure game. Great tip with the RSI. Yeah, RSI I think is always important too. Like I always say, look at the historical reference of when the stocks usually turn around. It's so important there. So like, let's use it for like American Airlines, right? So I'd put this really big. I'd go to the daily chart and I'd take a look here. When does it usually bottom? I scope out, right, as much as I can on the daily. going back a couple of years, and I go ahead and I draw a line. Where do I see this usually bottom? Well, I'm looking to the left usually, not exactly to the right where I see these spots. But as you can see, there's been a couple of times where we've expanded below this line, and each time we start to come back. You can see it on the charts. When you start to come down there, you start to get a nice little move back. When you start to come down here, right there in the middle of the chart, you start to make that move back. So this is what I look for a lot of the times. You could see the bottoming action that I went after here when I was going after it here. And the key is you need to be patient, right? It came back to that 1350s back here, and it was doing what? It started doing what? The RSI started turning around even though the price was coming down. That's something to look for. Now all I need to do is see the RSI go back through that high. And once it starts going back, you can use it like a trend line there, looking for the break back above that. And you can see yesterday, we just broke above that trend line. And that would have gave me an ability to maybe just risk even just using the RSI. If it gets back below the 30, I get out. If it starts to make the move above, and especially above this RSI 42, I'm going to be looking good in American Airlines. That's just one way that you guys can be using RSI. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at what else is going. Gold making a little bit of a move higher. That's interesting. I like AU in this space. I tried to play it earlier, and I did make a small gain on this one. Now it's starting to come back to 20s. I'll keep this on the radar. Who knows? Maybe we play a little bit of that gold trade. All right, definitely smash the like if you guys are enjoying the action, giving you guys tips exactly on how to use different indicators, going through stocks, giving you guys insight on how my trading went. Let's go back to the market and take a look. Are we getting that market pullback for the close? Let's go to the Qs. Just take a look at that. All right, let's go to the 5-minute, and don't always expect. One thing I want to see is the imbalances here towards the close, but let's see what happens here. Will we make that move back? It has been pulling back. It hasn't been like an elevator move down, but we could start seeing that on the SPY. Let's see if it goes through the 435 and makes its way quickly to 434 here. About 15 minutes left here, a little less than that, 13 minutes for the market. Let's see what happens. GE looking sluggish. Yes, that is looking sluggish. I think a lot of that is XLI's move. XLI was one of my best trades yesterday, did not take it today, and I could have held it. The way I think about it, yeah, that could have been definitely a hold, right? Instead of selling up there towards 180s, if I would have overnight this, I could have sold it at 102 today, and that could have been a 2-point gain versus a 1-point gain. This is why I like swing trading and just maybe holding on break even, trying to let the momentum grind higher and taking the profits when it starts to turn around. A good way to doing that is using like hourly levels and then looking to see when do you start to break the support, right? You pulled back to the support here. That's around the 101.61s. That would kind of tell me I need to get out. We'll see what happens if we break back down into the 150s. Mitch, do you know when Eli Lilly will go down? Well, I can't. I'm no hero, but let's take a look at Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly is coming down here, and their earnings weren't the best. I mean, it definitely gave you an opportunity to kind of get a little bit of a bounce back. It is down right now, and I think this all has to do with, at the end of the day, this stock has already made the run for what a lot of people are playing it. And I'm a little bit concerned now because this looks like a head and shoulders top action, even though this stock is kind of one of the, I would say, what we call best of breed, where it's the best name in the big drug manufacturers. But this looks like a head and shoulders top. How will I know? Well, to tell you the truth, the hard part of a head and shoulders top is you won't know until you break the neckline, which would be a move, I would say, below this support here, below the 550s. You can maybe call it 550s. I'd put it closer towards 545, 546. We'll see if we end up crushing through there. But yeah, it's definitely going down, and it's something to definitely keep your eyes out. I think that too many people played this for the weight loss drugs higher, the Alzheimer's higher. And I remember when I was thinking about playing this for this move, that was the 330 breakdown that eventually stopped me out, that it made the move, right? I mean, this is from there, it's about almost 100% higher. It makes sense for this to come back down, maybe even coming back into this 521, this gap spot to 500. I'm telling you, during 500 and 480s, yeah, I think they'll find some buyers. It's not like nobody likes Lily, but at this point, it could definitely start to break down. Tim Sykes would be calling him lazy. um, what happened? What happened with Tim Sykes, man? Mitch, pinky on up weekend, my man. Thanks for the week. Hey, Wisdom, you have a great one, man. Take care. I hope you enjoyed all the action right here, of course, on Benzinga. And you guys out there, if you guys enjoy it, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe below. After this, just to give you guys perspective, we do, of course, have the Dales report. They'll get into cannabis. They'll even talk a little bit about SBF, and then, of course, get into some action on psychedelics, cryptos, cannabis. They cover it all, especially those emerging markets. You guys don't want to miss that, guys. Interesting outlook there, especially on the Dales report. I always love to hear the personalities on that show, and check that out, team. Tim calls everyone lazy, but buy my program for 10,000. Yeah, man. Trust me, I've learned all the Timothy Sykes strategies. I've turned so many. You guys can name them all pretty much. I probably have dealt with them or been in their chat rooms, team. It's just how it goes. It's how this business is. All right, man. How SBF going away for 30 over and under? Man, SBF might be going away for 100 years, man. I don't think he'll ever see light again, but we'll see what happens there. All right, let's keep going, team. Coin. Let's take a look at Coin. How did that do today? One stock that I was looking at yesterday, I was like, man, this stock could just take off with this report and just keep going. Now we've been going sideways here. Will these ETFs get approved and see these stocks rip higher? That's something to think about. And some people were buying these names because they thought the KRE would continue on the downside action and Bitcoin would get that lift. So just to put that in perspective, we're seeing the opposite. Now, my only question is, what's going on with Bitcoin? I haven't seen Bitcoin today, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look. Looks like we're down 1.21% towards 34,220s. We'll see what happens on there. I haven't taken a look at that Bitcoin chart in a while. There's definitely some support around kind of the 336 area. We'll see if it's able to hold there. It's already, it's at 3.4. So we'll see what happens on Bitcoin. Gerard, I've learned a lot from you and Benzinga. Very grateful to have a resource like this. I'm glad, Gerard. That's what it's all about, man. And if you ever have questions, I'm always here for you. And like always, always take everything I say with a little bit of what I call grain of salt, right? Do the research, take a look into it, and tell me how it goes, right? How does that work for you? Once you're able to actually research it, test it, tell me how it goes, then it can be in your tool belt and it can be in there forever, right? The key is learn from the process, attach it to your own trading, right? And see how it works, right? The results, that's what's going to tell us if it works or not. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other action. How did Apple close here? That's an important close here as you're starting to get a push back there towards yesterday's closing price of 175.92. We're right above that already. There you go. 176.64s, or the Qs making another move to the upside here. Qs are pulling back. Apple's going to the upside. Definitely pulled back. Let's take a look at Roku. Roku still hanging in there. We'll see if this one starts to make its way back there. ARKK making its lift there to 40.44. And definitely Kathy's going to be beaming. Pun intended for Beam Therapeutics, as this makes a nice little move, 10% higher. Definitely a lot of her biotech names now starting to get the lift. You guys can see these names: Verb, Beam, TXG, VC, YT, CRISPR, NTLA. A lot of these therapeutic stocks getting the lift, but Roku is definitely going to help her. Roblox getting a little bit of a lift, or Roblox, whatever you want to call it there. Path going higher. DNA. Unity was one that I talked about earlier. And I talked about that yesterday as I was trading a firm, but I was saying maybe looking for these kind of growth on type of trades to see what happens with that would be a good outlook. And the firm continued, made a way to 23. If I would have been able to hold this one, man, that would have been nice. Yesterday, I had 700 shares at 20, and that would have been a big one. That would have been a nice $3 win. But a firm still hanging in here and bouncing back. We'll see when these momentum names turn around. Right now, I wouldn't be battling momentum names. They can continue climbing higher. Carvana, even C3AI, right? We talked about that one this week. And look at that one continuing to the upside. All right, definitely smash the like if you guys enjoy this. It's 3:54, and now I want to take the turn for you guys. Do you guys want to talk about certain stocks? Now's your opportunity. Throw them up there. All right, what's going on? Maroon 5. Hey, Mitch, do you do options? Honestly, I'll tell you the truth, man. I've tried. When I first started trading, that's where I was in the space. I was looking into options and trying to kind of master the option games, but I realized that there's a lot more variables in the option game than there is in the stock game. So I do not trade options because I just don't see the edge there. But just to kind of give you the insight there, Maroon. All right, Jay, best week of the year last Friday. It was doom and gloom, sentiment important. I mean, I agree. The sentiment was definitely down. I think you got to always think about that the market flips, right? I mean, if you were kind of bullish, like last 2 weeks ago, you probably got wrecked too, right? So you need to be able to do what? The truth is, you need to be able to do flip action, right? And if you can't flip, that's how you get caught a lot of the times. So you need to know when things are going up and when things are going down. Because if you can only play one way, you're probably going to get crushed. That's the hard part, really. Mitch, what do you think about SVYXY? Been pulling the trigger on new tickers for me. SVXY. All right, so now you're talking short-term futures, short the VIX. Okay, so this is actually going against the VIX, right? And so essentially what you would want to see is on kind of like moves of expansion and moves to the upside when a lot of times we get high correlation, right? Expansion, this is going to help, right? The move higher that we have right now is going to help this. But if the market starts to come down and we get into another kind of, downside action turn, that's when this is going to turn. Honestly, I don't have an advantage using the VIX. I know a lot of people like to use the VIX. I could go to like the VIXY. You could see the opposite of what you're trading there, Wisdom. But it's interesting to learn these kind of trading systems, right? And one thing to note is that a lot of times when it goes to extreme, you get the bounce, extreme, you get the bounce, extreme, you get the bounce. Now we're going down there towards that level. At some point, we're going to get to extreme and we're going to get a little bounce. We'll see what happens there. Marty, the hardest thing to flip is your mindset. I agree. Hardest thing to flip is your mindset. And that's the important thing of being nimble as a trader. As a day trader, you got to even be more nimble. As a swing trader, you can be a little less. And as an investor or maybe a position sizing approach, you're going to be even less likely to flip, right? Now, as a day trader, sometimes you got to flip even during the intraday action, which is very hard. And this is why it's way harder, I think, to be a day trader than it is to be an investor. Let's just be honest. That's what it's all about, too, that you got to be able to be dealing with the ups and downs. All right, Wisdom, let's keep smashing it, trying to expand the mind on the game. That's what it's all about, Wisdom, and learning things, right? And maybe trading stuff that's new. The truth is, there's only one way, is you got to learn how to play the game. And the only way to do that is to get some skin in the game, right? Bottom line, I love oil. Can't go wrong with a little oil. Jay says, disagree on options if you know what you're doing. Yeah. Hey, man, I've spoken to plenty of people that have traded options. I've taken classes on options. I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it. But hey, to each his own. You guys out there that trade options, keep doing your thing. You got to find what works best for your personality. I feel like when I'm playing the options game, I can't manage things the same way. And there's also like option premium, theta decay, expanded strategies. There's so much there that it gets to a point where I just want to focus on where the market's going, resistance support, what sectors and industries are moving. And that's where I see edge. That's why I play the equity game. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. No futures action for me, Maroon. I stick to the equities. That's what I do. You got to find your style and what works for you. And I agree with that because I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong on doing options, but I will tell you that I can't find the edge there. And that's what matters, really. Where do you find the edge? Because if you can't find the edge, stop trading that strategy. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is going in the market right now. Of course, the Qs are starting to pull back and continuing to pull back here towards the close, 359.59. And there's the close with some downside action coming in here. So we'll see if these stocks start to come down here. As you see, even AMD start to turn down. I got stopped out in AMD just to give you guys perspective around kind of the 1275 spot. I was looking to short AMD throughout the weekend. I'm all out, so I'll just talk about it. We'll see when I come back. Will AMD be back down to 110? That's what I was kind of looking for on a target. Roku was one that I thought could possibly come down below the 80s throughout the weekend. We'll find out. And the SPY overall, take a look at that. Right towards the close from 3 p.m. on, pretty much 310. Down goes Frazier. Will the markets pull back from the close? Like my title says, well, hit the like. Looks like I wasn't too wrong on that one. We'll see what happens. Like always, smash the like right here on Benzinga. We always got more content for you. Coming up next, you guys got the Dales Report, guys, that we'll be talking, of course, about what? On the Trade to Black podcast, they'll be talking about SBF. They'll be talking about different areas, psychedelics. And then, of course, they cover the cannabis industry. They'll talk about MSOS and different stocks that you guys can keep your eyes open for. So stick around. This will bring you right to that. And I will see you guys back, of course, on Monday on Pre-Market Prep. Smash the like, guys. And like always, let's keep growing. Let's keep growing. Let's keep building. And let's keep learning about sector and industry analysis right here on Start Swing Trade.